Welcome to Extra Points. I'm Al Lorenzen, your host, along with Mark Hansen and Casey Shelton. Each and every week, we take a little bit different look at the world of sports. We're joined this week with our guest, Tom Witosky, and we'll get into Tom here in just a moment. But guys, as we open the show each and every week, by the way, it didn't sound real good saying get into Tom. But
yeah, I was going to say.
You know what we're saying. The reality is each and every week we try to take a little different look, and I know we talk about what jumps out at us. Mark, there actually was some news that you're in tune with this week, so I want to give you the opportunity.
What does that mean? I'm always in tune with the news. Stop that. Well, to me, one of the things that stuck out was Gabby Douglas is back in the gym at Child's, and there was some question as whether when she would be coming back, would she be training with Child, would she not be training, what was she going to do? I mean, because it's hard, you know, she's the all-around gymnastics gold medalist,
yeah.
And it's hard to come back and do it again. And it's going to be much harder now than it was the last time.
And we'll get into some more of that in the show, some of the distractions, some of the money, how that all impacts things. Casey, anything jump out at you this week other than it's great to have you back and you're wearing pants? So those are two positives.
Yes, that's very much so, two positives. But the biggest thing that is jumping out at me this week is I come from a family of race car drivers, so the Indy 500 is a big thing in my family. So obviously with that, it's Memorial Day weekend. That's a big thing around our household right now, is the whole racing and the bubble day and everything that my family loves, that kind of stuff.
Well, we'll have a chance to get into that a little bit too. We've got some bills to pay. Let's come back with more Extra Points right after this.
Are you tired of losing the lives and productivity of your employees and their families to diabetes, cancer, heart attack, and stroke? Not to mention the destruction that these and other chronic diseases cause. In an effort to help, we are proud to introduce the newest member of the Holmes Murphy family, Dr. Mike Abelasili. Dr. Mike is Family Physician of the Year in 2010 and has a passionate and proven track record for saving lives and preventing disease.
If you truly want your employees and their families to have better lives, you need to call Holmes Murphy.
That's magic. This is not. No magic can help you get in shape, and it won't happen overnight. You need a plan, commitment, and more often than not, you will need help. That's what the Y does best. They have the finest facilities and equipment and a professional staff trained to help you succeed. If you and your family are serious about living an active, healthier lifestyle, why wait? Join the Y today and let tomorrow be the start of a healthier you.
Welcome back to Extra Points. Al Lorenzen, Mark Hansen, Casey Shelton, and this week joined by Tom Witosky. And you know, it's an interesting news week in the world of sports, guys, when we're talking about Gabby Douglas and we're talking about the Indy 500 to start with. But that is what's going on this time of year. And before we jump into that, there's some stuff we got to get into, talking about hitchhiking from Madison to the Kentucky Derby and you guys being at the Derby at the same time. My unique Derby story was this year. My sister-in-law and her husband go every year. A guy that worked for me at Drake, who's now working at the University of Delaware, 200,000+ people there, and they're sitting 3 rows apart. I get a text message with a picture of the two of them. What are the chances?
Yeah.
That's what happens at the Derby. But the hitchhiking from Madison story, Tom, we got to open with that.
I was a junior in college, and several of my friends said, why don't we just hitchhike on down to Louisville, go
Sounds
to the
like
Derby.
a party. Let's go to the Derby.
And what was really amazing it was, I think if you drive it, it's about, I'm guessing about 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours to get to Louisville.
How many cold ones can you?
Well, when you're hitchhiking, you're not drinking. You just got your thumb out and you get there. And there was this really cute girl I was with. Well, anyway, we'll not get into that. But we got down there, slept that night outside of Churchill Downs, spent the entire day inside the Churchill Downs on the interior, and then we ended up spending the night sleeping on the campus of the University of Louisville.
I got a question for you,
Sounds like
Tom.
fun.
Who won the race?
I have no idea.
I can't tell you.
I do remember winning like the second race.
Yeah.
And I won something like $200, and of course it was gone by the time we got back. But that was beside the point.
Now, Casey, at the Indy 500, you've been there. You've been on the infield. You're not there to necessarily bet, but you are there to have fun.
Oh yes, I would assume just like Kentucky Derby, the infield is where the party usually happens at any race car event.
Do you see any of the race from in there?
You know, at the Indy 500, it's a little harder because we usually were going in turns 3 and 4, and I've also sat in the stands at that race. But most NASCAR races where the ovals are, you can see most of the race from the infield. And that is my actual goal in life, is to retire at 55, have a pot belly and have a dog and have an RV and follow NASCAR. So it's out there to the public now. That's what my goal is.
Well, and you can take that to the state fair when it's here
Exactly.
in town. So absolutely. One of the things that's been brought up, and I know, Mark, you're going to get into this into your extra point. We talk about two parties, Kentucky Derby, the Indianapolis 500. We talk about alcohol in sports and some of the things that have bubbled up at the University of Minnesota this last week. And let's throw that out there. Tom, you've seen the role of alcohol in collegiate sports in particular, and how
Sure.
the people in Indianapolis, the NCAA offices, they want no signs, they want no any of that stuff. But it's hard to imagine college football without alcohol. And then you put that in the context of our culture. I'm interested to get your perspective on that.
Well, again, having gone to the University of Wisconsin, it's a little difficult to.
Oh, there's no drinking that goes
No
on
drinking
at
that
the
goes
I'm
there.
married
University
to
of
a Badger as well,
Wisconsin.
Tom, as you know.
Well,
so, yeah.
but at the same time, the university did get very, very tough on that. They really did. They, in fact, they still are. They have security officers upstairs in the press box with binoculars, and they're looking for people to drink. And you will see security guards come down and grab people and say, "You're out of here. You're drinking."
What
And-
are they
and
drinking? I
that's-
mean, is it a beer? I mean,
well,
'cause
well,
I'm-
yeah,
I'm
usually
related-
it's some kind of mix of alcohol, you know, whiskey
The
or
flask
rum,
or
Oh,
whatever
exactly.
that
because
type of thing.
You go to Jack Trice, and I mean, the people at the concession stand have to know, hey, can I get a Coke, but I only want a half filled.
Right. I mean, the thing is that everybody knows that it goes on, but I do think, you know, it's mostly the younger folks that are there. Though you will see an occasional older guy doing it. You know, the thing about it is that as time has gone on, I think you are going to start seeing beer being sold at a lot of stadiums. I think that's the next revenue stream that a lot of these colleges are going to be looking at in their
Well, can you monitor it? Can you do a better job of, what I'm saying is, by doing that, are you actually helping yourselves, or are you opening up a can of worms?
I thought that binoculars story is pretty good, because if they really wanted to police it, they could take the binoculars and just swing over to the luxury suites.
Right.
And they could.
But up there it's legal.
Yeah.
I mean, and I understand that
Therein lies
the
the
conflict
hypocrisy.
is.
Yeah,
Well,
it's,
sure it
it's
does.
just crazy. You know, at Iowa or wherever, you can't take alcohol into the game, but all the the people who have the money to pay the up front can do that, and it's really
well, in the very famous case of Bill Krause when they renovated Kinnick Stadium and all those kinds of things. But again, we're not going to solve all the world's problems today, but I think it's fascinating to me that the culture, in particular college football, revolves around alcohol. Revolves around, it may not, they may try to curtail it when you go in the stadium, but how many people would show up to Jack Trice or Kinnick if you couldn't tailgate, if you couldn't spend all day getting your drink on before the games? I mean, that to me is the paradox here.
That's why football has grown, though. So wouldn't you say, Tom? I mean, because of the whole aspect of tailgating?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the fact is that people that go to games, obviously want to tailgate. They want to get into the party mood, that type of thing. I think football's popularity has grown for lots of different reasons other than that. Mostly because of ESPN, mostly because of cable television, DirecTV, all of that type of thing, and the fact that these guys can put on all the games all the time now. I mean, that's a huge change.
While
in the
we're on football,
culture.
guys, the Big Ten announced schedules coming out. We had the meetings this last week, and Tom, we were talking off air about your perspective on what that does and how you're going to have some imbalance in the two sides. At least we don't have legends and leaders anymore. We have East and West, but now we're going to have some disparity in terms of who's playing who.
Well, at least right now, if you take a look at the competitiveness of the various teams, there's no doubt that the Western Division, starting in 2014, is going to be perceived as the weaker division. It is going to be a lot like how the North Division was perceived back when the Big 12 had two divisions. Now, some fans, Iowa fans, were very, very enthusiastic about the notion of not playing Ohio State, not playing Michigan State not playing Michigan, not playing Penn State in 2014. Same is true for Wisconsin. They're
Well,
not
you could
going
make
to
the
play
case
any
that
one of
if
those
you're going to
four.
play Penn State, play them in the next couple of years.
Well, I mean, you could, but I mean,
Yeah.
given how well that team played
Traditionally,
last
yep.
year, it's obvious Bill O'Brien's a pretty good coach, and if he can hold on to kids, that program's going to be difficult to deal with as they get closer and closer to being off of probation. I don't know if they're have created themselves a problem or not with this perceived imbalance. I don't necessarily know that Iowa or Wisconsin or even Minnesota seems to be coming along better.
Nebraska.
Nebraska's there, obviously. Northwestern is there. All those teams are capable of winning, but the perception's going to be nationally that it's the big boys and the little boys in the Big Ten, and that's going to be a difficult thing for them to overcome. It just is.
That Big 2, Little 8 was going back to
Right.
Hayden Fridays. I mean, that's,
Sure.
We do want to have you hang around. We're going to have more Tom Witosky after this break. Stay tuned for more Extra Points.
People like to see a return on their investment. Is it time for you to make an investment in your health? The YMCA has great locations, facilities, equipment, and a staff dedicated and trained to help you succeed. And it's affordable to all. The Y offers boot camp classes, a pool, wellness coaches, complimentary child watch, and so much more. If you and your family are serious about living an active, healthier lifestyle, why wait? Join the Y today and let tomorrow be the start of a healthier you.
Welcome back to Extra Points. We're here each and every week to take a little different look inside the world of sports here in Iowa and beyond. And we're joined by Tom Witosky this week, former Register columnist, writer extraordinaire, guy that, let's just say he raises the aggregate IQ infinitely
All
here
right,
on this set.
Well, you can stop.
Well, I got to butter him
I
up
know
a little
the
bit. We
guy,
want him to come
okay,
back.
you know.
He's the only guest that's actually come back for a second stint on Extra Points, so that's a good thing.
It's usually because I'm not doing anything at this time of day.
Let's jump into a little bit. Let's shift gears a little bit and jump into Rick Wolko, the head of the Iowa High School Athletic Association, came out this week and said what a lot of us have been saying for the last 15 years, and that is the boys basketball state tournament has lost some of its sizzle. It's not as exciting. Attendance it dwindles each and every year. There are a lot of us that would say that's because you've got a group of ex-officials that are more worried about the technical aspect of an event rather than how you market an event, how you promote an event, and how you highlight kids and their stories. But they're talking about shifting gears a little bit. And guys, we'll throw it out to Tom first, but interested to get Casey and Mark's perspective on that as well.
Well, Rick is trying to make people think outside the box. And to go to a Final Four approach where you just have games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I believe.
Yep.
At least it's an idea worth talking about. I mean, the thing is that you can get into all sorts of arcane arguments about how they should be seated, how this should be done, how this should not be done, that type of thing. But I mean, think about it. I mean, I believe attendance has dropped consecutively for the last 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
Well, that includes the year that Ames was so powerful.
Sure.
Where you had one heck of a basketball team that just obliterated everybody.
Right.
For the most part.
Right.
That doesn't help. I have a feeling this is more about the lack of of real competition within all of these divisions, or at least people understanding who the really good teams are and
Right.
getting them in front of folks. I don't know. I mean, it's high school basketball tournaments used to capture everything in a state.
Yeah, they capture the imagination.
Absolutely. One of the big problems is, of course, that's also going on